With Halloween Kills now officially in the history books, many fans of the Halloween franchise are either excited or divided on the overall idea of where Halloween Ends' direction is going to take us, specifically involving the pandemic and possibly even including politics within the film that may or may not dictate the overall narrative going forward. As of right now, we do currently know that Laurie Strode's granddaughter Allison is going to play a major role in this film, of course having to lose her mom, having to lose her dad, having to lose her boyfriend, and many friends and family within Haddonfield. One of the biggest concerns after learning about this rumored pandemic having to be featured in the film is having Michael Myers die off in this film, courtesy of the virus of unknown origins having to play a big factor in the movie. But I don't think that this concept is something where the Halloween fans have to be concerned about, because let's just say, as a hypothetical, if this ends up occurring and Michael Myers just dies via contracting the virus, then yeah, the movie itself would be complete dog shit in the fact that he survived gunshots, he survived the mob beatdown, he survived being stabbed, he survived being burned alive, being ran over, only for him to die via a virus. I don't think that's going to come into effect in this movie. However, what I'm thinking the pandemic might do in this film is play a big role in keeping people indoors and not only having to be afraid in going outside and encountering Michael Myers, but at the same time, they could be scared of contracting this thing, which makes them want to stay indoors more than having to go outside. So the cause for concern of Michael Myers dying in this movie via virus, I don't think is something people need to be worked up about. However, there is that possible chance that yes, for the first time, we actually might get to see Laurie Strode and or company kill off Michael Myers for good. I'm talking about dismembering the body, shooting Michael in the head, decapitating him for good. Anything can happen, but let's not forget one of the major clauses in the Halloween contract for many generations now that have prevented Michael from being killed off in any film. Now, for many that know the Akkad family, Mustafa Akkad specifically, had put it within fine print that Michael Myers cannot die in any of the Halloween films. That was already established within the contract for many Halloween movies, which is why we've never seen Michael definitively die as we know it. But one must really ask the question if this clause is still in effect, even with Blumhouse having to run and seemingly conclude the Halloween trilogy with this upcoming movie. Will in fact Michael Myers actually be killed off, or based on what's written within the contract, is Michael Myers going to endure a lot of punishment but by the end survive as we know it? Is Halloween Ends going to end off with Michael Myers slaughtering everybody? That includes Karen and Allison, along with the sheriff, Frank Hawkins, Lindsay Wallace. It's possible, but will this in and of itself be a definitive movie in which fans would be happy to see? I don't think that's going to be the case, because something's got to give here, because we know that Jamie Lee Curtis isn't going to be returning as Laurie Strode for any other Halloween movie. Halloween Ends is going to be the last time that we see Jamie Lee Curtis reprise her role as Laurie Strode. So we know that Jamie Lee Curtis has expressed many concerns throughout the years of wanting to kill off Michael Myers for good, but based on what's written within the fine print in the contract, Michael Myers can't be killed off because, of course, they need to make more Halloween films. So what do we do now? If Jamie Lee Curtis desperately wants to end Michael Myers, but Michael Myers in fine print is written never to be killed off, then what do we do, right? Do we do a double offing by having Laurie and Michael be killed off, where Laurie ends up killing Michael and Michael ends up killing Laurie? Or do we go into a different direction to where everyone gets killed off, and I mean everybody, there are no survivors by the end of this movie? Or do we have a situation play out to where Michael is badly wounded but he ends up offing everybody and being the last man standing? Anything is possible, right? But more importantly, what Halloween Ends needs to do by comparison to Halloween 2018 and Halloween Kills is answer all of the questions that we came out of Halloween 2018 with and Halloween Kills with, because if they leave so many of these questions ambiguous or open for interpretation, then fans are never going to finally understand the depth of the Halloween franchise, specifically with this new trilogy, if they've always alluded to specific concepts and ideas but never really executed on explaining the core fundamentals of what the heck is going on and expanding on said ideas, right? For example, you don't have to have Michael Myers talk per se, as Dr. Sartain had wanted, but you could ultimately expand on what Frank Hawkins had said in Halloween Kills when he told Laurie in his heart he always figured that Michael Myers always wanted to do one thing. Now, if this concept was for him to go home and stare out of his window, okay, why? You don't have to have Michael Myers ever talk to explain his actions as to why he wants to stare outside of a window, but at the same time, why is he so drawn towards that house? Why is he so drawn towards that window? Why is he so drawn towards that mask, because based on observation, if you look at anyone that touches his mask or takes off his mask, he drops everything that he's doing just to go after said person. Right now, why is that the case? These questions desperately need to be answered in a sense where you don't really expose the shape per se, but you kind of give us an idea as to what his motive truly is and why he does the things that he does, specifically by looking outside of his window and wanting to go home, right? Is he a supernatural entity? Is he part supernatural? And what Laurie said, and him having to kill off a bunch of people and transcending himself in a very bizarre way to where he's immune to gunshots, he's immune to being stabbed, he's immune to pain. Is Michael Myers susceptible to starving or dying via hydration? Is Michael Myers susceptible to bleeding out internally? Because one can only imagine with all of the cuts and all of the burns on his body that he could be susceptible and perishing, right? So these questions need to be answered because we know that Michael Myers needs to eat, he needs to drink, as established in Halloween 2018. By the end of it, when he locked himself in Laurie's cabinet and eating all of the food, in the original movie 1978's Halloween, he ate a dog to stay alive. So Michael does need food, he does need water, but how long can he go without such things before possibly being killed off via starvation or dehydration, right? Or possibly even going as far as to suggest that Michael could bleed out, but he was doing something to kind of patch up his wounds in preventing him in doing so, right? Now, all of this could come into play with Allison's character because David Gordon Green and Jamie Lee Curtis have alluded that this upcoming movie is going to focus more on Allison's character by comparison to anyone else, which I think is a good thing because after seeing Halloween Kills and seeing the debacle with Tommy Doyle, I was honestly expecting to see more from Tommy, and all he really did was get a few baseball shots in at Michael, and then he got offed at the end with literally no struggle having to be put up against Michael and having to go down like a complete chump, right? So that was something that was very underwhelming. So I doubt that Allison's character is going to possibly go down without putting up a good fight against Michael because she's been there for multiple instances in encountering Michael, so she kind of understands how Michael can possibly operate by taking his mask, by possibly setting up traps. You can have Allison's character play the role of both Laurie's paranoid character mixed in with kind of Karen's intelligence to draw Michael in and baiting him, because if all else, we know that Michael can be baited into said things because he was baited into getting beaten down by the mob, he was baited in going down into the basement, and even kind of have Karen lie to Laurie to say I can't do it, only to draw Michael out and shooting him in the face. So Allison's character can still be used in baiting Michael in trying to inflict as much damage as humanly possible, and as stated before, something needs to be done with Michael's home, something needs to be done with Michael's mask, because he is very much so drawn towards said things. But what happens if you take those away? What happens if you destroy his home? What happens if you maybe destroy his mask? Whatever happens to Michael Myers, right? So I definitely think that this needs to be explored because we know that Jamie Lee Curtis is going to have possibly one big hoorah against Michael. Whether or not she wins or loses is really up for debate because one can only assume that she's going to hurt Michael or possibly even kill him, while other people might think that she's only going to get in Michael's way and that Michael right now has transcended so much so that he can't be killed. And I think that, interestingly enough, when looking back on Halloween Kills, they pretty much touched up the basis of Michael just vanishing the way he does, right? In the beginning, when we saw the flashback with Hawkins, he shot Michael several times, he ran up towards where Michael was, only for Hawkins to come across this fence and asking, well, where did he go, right? And then, in the end, when we saw Karen go to Judith's room and staring out of the window, one must beg the question, okay, well, where the hell did Michael come from when nobody else saw him go upstairs when EMTs and paramedics were literally outside in the front porch catering to Allison and many of the victims of Michael's attack, right? So this idea of possibly the supernatural element of Michael vanishing also needs to be explored because there is no way that Michael goes from point A to point B the way he does in a normal way. So perhaps maybe they can use Laurie as a means of exploring this concept with Hawkins, while Allison and perhaps maybe other characters like Lindsay are trying to come up with a different method of taking Michael down. That's only under the assumption that Michael's going to die in this film, because for all we know, this could be the definitive end of Michael Myers' story, or this could be the triumphant victory of Michael in having to slaughter everybody. So in the comment section below, what I want to know from you guys are 3 specific things. That being, number 1, do you see Halloween Ends concluding its trilogy with everyone dying, or perhaps maybe you're more of a fan of seeing Michael be victorious with everyone else dying, or some of you guys might be fans of more or less seeing the main heroes win? So do you see Michael being killed off by either Allison or Jamie Lee Curtis's character. Question number 2 is, what is your personal preference for this upcoming movie? Best case and worst case scenario, list them down below. And lastly, when it's all said and done, do you guys believe that perhaps maybe they're going to leave this movie open for more movies to follow down the line, or is this going to be the end? And if they somehow end up doing more Halloween movies down the line, it's going to be something completely different than what we've seen go down in Danny McBride and David Gordon Green's trilogy. So again, thank you all so much for watching. Thank you all so much for your time. October of 2022 couldn't come soon enough. So again, I hope you guys enjoy. We are going to be keeping you guys posted with new information, discussions, and all the good stuff involving Halloween Kills. So make sure you guys smash that subscribe button and give this video a big fat thumbs up if you guys are simply excited to see how Halloween Ends plays off, because I am very interested to see how this goes, because there are so many different scenarios and possibilities they can take this movie in, and hopefully they take the right one. So again, thank you all so much for watching. Thank you all so much for being here. Tune back in for more, and I'll be seeing each and every single one of you down in the comment section below and in the next video. Take it easy, guys, and have a great day. Peace.